Imagine waking up every morning, knowing your power doesn't come from what happens to you, but how you respond to it. No chasing likes, no needing praise, no fear of failure. Just clarity. Strength. Purpose. This isn't just philosophy. It's a blueprint. The Stoics lived it through war, exile, slavery, and even as emperors. They asked one question over and over: how can I be better today? What did they know that we've forgotten? And how can we use it not just to get ahead, but to live better, deeper, steadier lives? Stay with this. It might change how you see everything. Self-improvement isn't a modern invention. Long before self-help books filled store shelves, ancient Stoics were thinking deeply about how to live better. Their approach was different from today's quick fixes or productivity hacks. The Stoics focused on character, reason, and a life aligned with nature and virtue. They weren't interested in chasing status or wealth. They were focused on becoming good people, no matter the circumstances. This video explores how the Stoics thought about self-improvement, what it meant to them, how they practiced it, and what we can learn from their path. At its core, Stoic self-improvement was about becoming a better human being, not just more successful, but more virtuous. Virtue wasn't a vague ideal, it was the central measure of a good life. To the Stoics, a life well lived meant cultivating 4 key virtues: wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance. Wisdom meant knowing what is within your control and what isn't. Courage involves facing hardship without losing your moral compass. Justice was treating others fairly and acting with integrity. Temperance was self-restraint, knowing how to balance desires and avoid excess. Unlike some modern approaches, Stoicism didn't promise ease or happiness in the way we often think of it. It promised clarity, resilience, and the inner strength to face life without being knocked off course. Improvement meant training the mind, challenging faulty thinking, and living in line with reason. Stoicism wasn't something to be studied abstractly. It was a lived philosophy. Marcus Aurelius, one of the most powerful men in the ancient world, wrote in his personal journal not about conquest or wealth, but about staying humble, managing anger, and practicing gratitude. Epictetus, born a slave, taught that true freedom comes from mastering one's inner life. "You may fetter my leg," he said, "but my will, not even Zeus, can overcome." He believed that no one could truly harm you unless you allowed your character to be corrupted. For the Stoics, philosophy was a tool for living well. It wasn't a luxury or a side interest. It was how you shaped your thoughts, how you dealt with setbacks, and how you grew over time. A central Stoic concept and a starting point for self-improvement is the dichotomy of control. Some things are up to us, others aren't. Our actions, judgments, desires, and reactions are in our control. External events, other people's opinions, our reputations, or outcomes are not. Understanding this distinction changes everything. It frees you from chasing the wind. It shifts your energy away from things you can't influence and puts it where it matters, on your thoughts and behaviors. When something goes wrong, a Stoic doesn't waste time on blame or regret. They ask, what's within my control right now? What can I learn from this? How can I respond with virtue? Stoic self-improvement isn't a one-time insight. It's a daily practice. Just as athletes train their bodies, the Stoics believed we must train our minds. Marcus Aurelius wrote in his meditations each day, reflecting on his actions and reminding himself of Stoic principles. Epictetus advised his students to review their behavior every night, asking, "What did I do well? What did I do poorly? What can I do better tomorrow?" This isn't about beating yourself up. It's about honest self-assessment. Growth begins with awareness of your thoughts, emotions, habits, and values. The Stoics also used techniques like negative visualization, imagining the loss of things they valued, not to become gloomy, but to appreciate what they had and to prepare themselves mentally for setbacks. One of the clearest signs of Stoic improvement is how a person handles adversity. Stoics didn't believe we should seek out suffering, but they did believe hardship was a powerful teacher. When life gets difficult, it reveals what we're made of. Seneca wrote, "Difficulties strengthen the mind, as labor does the body." He wasn't romanticizing pain. He was pointing out that how we respond to tough times shapes our character. A Stoic asks, "Can I meet this challenge with dignity? Can I maintain my principles under pressure? Can I find something meaningful in this difficulty?" Even death was something the Stoics thought about regularly, not morbidly, but to remind themselves to live fully and prioritize what matters. Memento mori, the practice of remembering mortality, wasn't about fear. It was about focus. Self-improvement in the Stoic sense also means freeing yourself from the need for approval. The opinions of others, whether praise or criticism, are outside your control. Basing your self-worth on them is a recipe for anxiety. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself often, "It's all the same to be praised or not praised, as long as you are doing the right thing." The Stoic path is about inner alignment, not external validation. This doesn't mean Stoics were indifferent to others. On the contrary, justice and compassion were central to their values. But they didn't let flattery or insults define them. They aimed to be consistent, not popular. When Stoics talk about living in accordance with nature, they don't mean going off the grid or hugging trees, though they wouldn't object to that either. They mean living in line with our human nature, as rational, social beings. This means using our reason to guide our choices rather than being driven by impulse or emotion. It also means recognizing that we are part of a larger human community, with duties to others. A good life isn't just about self-mastery, it's about contributing to society with fairness and kindness. Seneca put it simply, "No man can live a happy life, or even a supportable one, without the study of wisdom. It is the food of the soul." And part of that wisdom is understanding that we're not isolated. We're all in this together. One of the most encouraging parts of Stoic philosophy is its understanding of progress. You don't have to be a perfect sage to follow the Stoic path. In fact, none of the well-known Stoics claim to have fully arrived. They all saw themselves as students, imperfect, but committed to growth. Marcus Aurelius wrote to himself not as a finished product, but as someone who struggled daily with anger, impatience, and ego. Seneca admitted his own shortcomings repeatedly in his letters. Progress, not perfection, was the goal. This humility is key. Stoicism isn't about pretending to be above it all. It's about recognizing your flaws and working on them, one day at a time. You don't need to live in ancient Rome to benefit from Stoic ideas. Their approach to self-improvement is surprisingly modern in its practicality. Here are a few ways to apply the Stoic path today. 1. Start a daily journal. You don't need to write pages. Just take 5 minutes to reflect. What did I do well today? Where did I fall short? What can I improve tomorrow? This small habit builds awareness and direction over time. 2. Practice the dichotomy of control. When you're stressed or overwhelmed, pause and ask, is this within my control? If not, let it go. If yes, focus on what you can do, even if it's just your attitude. 3. Visualize setbacks. Don't hope for failure, but consider how you'd handle it. Imagine losing your job, getting sick, or facing rejection. How would you respond? This practice builds resilience. 4. Focus on character, not image. Before acting, ask yourself, is this aligned with my values? Am I doing this for the right reasons, or just for approval? Prioritize your integrity over your reputation. 5. Remember mortality. Life is short. Keep that in mind, not to depress yourself, but to sharpen your attention. Say what needs to be said. Do what needs to be done. Be present. In conclusion, self-improvement, for the Stoics, was about living thoughtfully, acting with intention, and treating others, and yourself, with honesty and respect. It was about discipline, not for its own sake, but because living well takes effort. It was about resilience, not toughness, but steadiness. And it was about virtue, not in some moralizing way, but as a clear compass in a chaotic world. The Stoic path isn't easy. It asks you to hold yourself to a high standard. But it's also forgiving. It recognizes that growth takes time and that falling short is part of the process. What matters is returning to the path, again and again. In a world full of noise, Stoicism offers something rare, a calm, grounded approach to becoming better, not just more efficient or more productive, but truly better. The kind of better that lasts. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe to the channel for more content like this.